IVM.
In 2019, you basically have two choices. You can either go for therapy or start your own podcast. I'm Natasha Malpani Oswal, and this is my personal diary. I wrote a very honest poetry book called Boundless this year, where I poured my deepest and darkest fears into the poems. I'll take you through some of my favorite poems and the secrets behind them in this podcast. We explore falling in love, the dark side of beauty, families, money, making room to make mistakes, heartbreak, and finding your own voice. Don't say I didn't warn you. It gets deep. Today's episode is about the dark side of wealth. Poor little rich kid. You can buy luxury, privacy, and your friends too. But the more you spend, the more you isolate. You don't ever need to ask for help. A hand with the luggage, a place to crash, a ride. It's all given to you. Can you ever relate? You inhabit a different world, sometimes lonely. You know they watch you with envy. This is not a fantasy. It's your reality. They tell you what you want to hear, always eager to please. You can have the world, but not the truth. Bombay, the city of dreams. Hustle bustle, Bollywood business, billionaires and the poor touch, intersect. Never alone, even for a moment. Cars, crowds, people bursting at the seams. Somehow a structure, an expanding chaos. An energy, a vibe. Everything's possible if you can survive. South Bombay is a strange, strange place. Growing up, being surrounded by people only who had ever grown up in South Bombay, and most of whose parents had also grown up in the exact same radius. I had an inkling that our lives weren't normal, whatever that means. But now that I can see how we lived from a distance, it seems pretty damn crazy. We're so comfortable, we're bored. We don't mix. Our friends are the same people we knew at 12. They still live with their parents, or someone else's, if they're female and married. No one ever grows up here. And why should we? Everything's taken care of for us. Our lives are predetermined, decided, designed. And yet, we live in Bombay like we're constantly trying to escape it. We don't even call it Mumbai. We speak another language. We travel every chance we get. We watch content and use products and services that are foreign. And we create little bubbles, entire ecosystems, and stay within them. Chauffeured cars, private member clubs, private schools, invitation-only balls, charity galas, dinners. They're all gated communities. Invite only. We're obsessed with privacy. And when it's time, we try and marry someone whiter, someone who can help us escape the filth, the noise, the heat. But if we don't like it here, why don't we just leave? We fantasize about leaving. We act like we're in a different city. We talk of living in cities with clean air, less traffic, of building a new life. But most of us have never and can't work for someone else, or pay the bills, or make new friends. We've never had to. Maybe it's easier to stay. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to reach out to me, I am Natasha_Malpani on Twitter and at Natasha Malpani Oswal on Instagram. Stay tuned.
Advertising is dead. Yep, you heard me right. Advertising is dead.
We're all in the content business now. Let's not call it news, TV, radio, etc., etc. It's all content, and we're in the middle of this weirdly exciting phase where all the borders and lines that have been drawn over decades has been swept away by this lovely thing called the internet. We're a show where we don't dwell on just the stuff that is now, but rather the wider stuff about advertising, media, content, and the whole goddamn circus surrounding it. Tune in every Tuesday for our weekly unboxing of the mystery box we used to call advertising. I'm Varun Dugirala, co-founder and content chief at The Glitch, and this is my new podcast, Advertising is Dead.
Do you have a night routine? Well, everyone has one. And the to-do list usually looks like this. Brush your teeth, set that alarm, get into your pajamas, and switch off those screens. But here's one more to add to that list. Tune into the Positively Unlimited podcast for a dose of positive action and tips on how to build powerful mindsets. Episodes out every Monday on the IVM Podcast app, ivmpodcast.com, or wherever you tune into podcasts.